Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm that other guy.
And today we're going to be talking about The Boys from County Hell, which is a Shudder-exclusive Irish horror film about a couple construction workers that accidentally unleash a vampire on their hometown. And it's a horror comedy, but it's definitely also a horror drama.
Yeah. It has humorous elements. It's definitely enough to be considered comedic.
Yeah.
But it is way more of a horror drama than it is a comedy.
Yeah, exactly. Because like part of the core struggle of the movie is the main character. He's been living in his dead mom's house, and his dad's been like insisting that he needs to do something with his life. He needs to show more ambition. And part of the way of his dad wanting to do this is he wants him to help him on this construction job. But of course, it's this construction job that ends up unleashing the vampire.
Yeah. It unleashes the vampire, but even before that, it's gonna basically ruin the town.
Yeah. Because the town is like a tourist spot, and one of the key points of tourism is this one spot in which this famous ancient vampire was vanquished, supposedly. And supposedly this was the town that Bram Stoker based his novel Dracula on. Now we know in reality.
Yeah, we know in reality that's not what happened.
For the sake of movie reality, I was willing to roll with that.
Yeah.
But this movie is actually it's a really fun movie. I really enjoyed the characters a lot, especially the character of SP, which was the main character's brother.
The guy's brother. Yeah,
the guy's brother was great. He kind of reminded me of someone like Count Dankula wasn't a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know. I also really enjoyed the vampire in this movie. This has a really unique vampire. But part of because you kind of start off with the whole Bram Stoker based his story on this vampire. Part of the movie is playing with your knowledge of how vampires are supposed to work, and how this vampire doesn't work that way at all.
Yeah.
Some of which are spoilers. We'll get to those ones, but the ones that we can talk about is that this vampire will literally just suck the blood out of you from a block away.
Yeah.
It'll just pour out of your fucking orifices, and he'll just suck it up. And that's not a spoiler. That happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the first scene of the movie.
Yeah.
I think this movie was really good.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Playing with vampire tropes really well.
Yeah, while still obviously making it a vampire.
Yes, 100%.
Usually when we we fuck around with vampires, we make it so different it doesn't feel like a vampire anymore.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
This one still feels like a vampire.
Yeah, this one 100% does, especially when you finally get to see it in the last act. It's not like a usual vampire design, but it definitely looks like a giant lanky bat without wings.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. In fact, at one point, because it's like this chalky or dusky black figure, because it looks like a corpse that's been dug out of a bog.
And because of its elongated limbs, it kind of sometimes gives off Slender Man vibes when it's just standing there or approaching people.
Yeah. But when it fucking does. One of the things that the film does that made it really nice and creepy is that even though this thing is tall and lanky, anytime it does something physical, it feels extremely powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Even just landing on the ground, it feels like
boom, boom. It's got that superhero thunk.
Yeah.
When he does that. And there's a point where he's taking an axe to a fucking pillar of cement. And the entire building shaking.
Yeah.
It's goddamn.
Yeah. This guy's hell on wheels.
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
I also just kind of like the Irishness of the movie.
Oh yeah, it's a super Irish movie.
It's got this small town Irish setting. They got a local pub that they go to all the time. The characters definitely feel lived in this environment. They come off the screen.
Yeah. They feel it's kind of funny because it feels a lot like an episode of Father Ted that way. Because you get this fictional Irish town in the middle of fucking nowhere.
And I also I liked the actual core drama at the center of it. This kid that's kind of I say kid, but he's in his 20s. But he's caught between his dad who wants something out of him and the town that doesn't want him to do it at all.
Yeah.
And also just the fact that he seems actually, if his dad wasn't there pushing them, he's quite happy where he is.
Yeah. He'd just be living on the house, taking care of it, doing odd jobs. He doesn't really want to do anything
Exactly.
else.
But at the same time, there's also obvious that, like, whatever happened to his mom in the past is something that weighs with him to this day.
And they never really tell you what exactly happened.
No, they give you this implication that either something happened to her or she did something, like maybe suicide or something.
Yeah.
But they never outright state it. It's all implied. So it's kind of left a little open to your interpretation. But I kind of interpret it as suicide.
Yeah. It at least looked like a suicide, you know. But there was some question about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, whether she did it on purpose. Whatever it was. So yeah, I The Boys from County Hell. It's a fun movie. It's another entry in the long list of recent vampire movies that just show how versatile vampires can be.
Yeah.
Because we've had like a bunch of movies recently, like The Vampires versus the Bronx, Bit, Jacob's Wife.
Yeah, Jacob's Wife was a really good one. Yeah.
Blood Vessel, the Nazi vampire movie. Like, there's just been a slew of vampire movies recently, and they're all different. And they all have different vampires and different takes on the vampire, but they all feel like vampires. Bliss is another one.
Bliss was the other one, yeah.
Bliss was another one.
That was a great one, yeah.
And I'm all about, like, yeah, keep this going. I want more bloodsuckers. I'm digging this. Now, I would like more werewolves too, though. I think werewolves need another shot, but that's...
Well, that's a hard one, because if you don't get the look of the werewolf right, the whole thing falls apart.
It's true. Though I do think, since a lot of these movies have actually had, like, practical vampire effects, if you could do that, you might be able to pull off werewolves.
Well, I think you could. The only problem is I can give you the exception, which is amazing looking werewolves, really bad movie, Cursed.
Yeah.
Like, those werewolves look great, but like that movie is just, oh boy.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I will give that movie this though. The point where the werewolf flips people off is gold.
Oh no, that's the highlight of the film.
The rest of the movie's a mess. Release the Craven cuts.
Yeah, no shit. No fucking shit, you know? Damn.
So, The Boys from County Hell, again, it's a Shudder exclusive. I do not know if it's going to be on any other platform since it is an exclusive, so you're probably going to have to get Shudder if you want to watch this yourself. So go get Shudder and check out this movie. And with that said, let's move on to the spoilers.
Okay. So there actually is a lot to spoil in this movie because they immediately basically knock you off balance by showing you that one of the triest and truest ways of dispatching a vampire simply doesn't work, which is staking them.
Yeah, one of the first things they do is they ram this fucking pole into this one vampire's heart, and the heart literally like
comes out of his chest. It's gone.
It's on the end of the pole out his back, and the vampire just keeps going. It doesn't stop him. And that's one of the first things that happens with the vampire. The other thing that they throw you off balance with is that the vampires, when they bite you, they don't turn you.
Yeah.
Because the main vampire will suck everyone's blood out, but the little minions that they create, they're like flesh eaters.
Yeah.
They'll like fucking eat your flesh like vampire, like zombies. But they won't turn you when you do that. The only way you get turned into a vampire in this lore is you have to get scratched by one of the stones that was over the vampire's grave.
Yeah.
Because it turns out in this vampire universe, you can't kill a vampire. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
And they show us the many ways in which they try. Sunlight don't work.
Yeah.
The vampire just stands in the sun like, what?
What? What'd you think was gonna happen?
What?
Yeah.
And the fucking decapitating doesn't work. They cut off the thing's head, and then the head scurries on the ground and reattaches itself.
Yeah, just puts it back
in an
on.
Awesome practical effect.
Yeah. But the only thing they don't try is fire.
They don't try fire.
But they don't really have a lot of access to it either.
Yeah. Well, in most contexts, like if the fire would burn down whatever building they're in, and it's that'd be way too much. The only way to dispatch a vampire, as far as this movie's concerned, is you have to bury it and put stones on top of it, and then once you've done that, those stones, should they scratch someone, will turn someone into a vampire.
Yep.
So naturally, a couple people get scratched by these stones.
Yeah, I wonder if that would work if you like poured concrete over those.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. I was like, what if you took the vampire, dumped it into like a fucking little put it into like a coffin, nailed the coffin shut like they do in the movie to that one vampire.
Yeah.
Put it in like a pit and then cover that pit with cement, would that count as a stone?
Yeah. I don't know. Or what if you like dug the hole deep enough that you could fucking put him down the ground, put stones on top of him, then pave over.
And then put concrete. That might be the safest bet.
Yeah.
That might be the safest bet. Oh, man. See, this is why Jack and I should be in these movies, because we would totally hunt the vampires with, like, try to...
Yeah. I mean, these weird-ass frog brothers.
Yeah.
Like, man. Uh-huh. Yeah, we need a concrete mixer. Yeah, vampires. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, get over here. No, I don't care if you're having dinner right now.
Like, the thing is, though, what I like about the movie is that, like, I'm not even sure if the stones even have a mystical property outside of the scratching thing, because it seems to be you put the stones on top so that the vampire doesn't just crawl its way out.
Yeah, but it's somehow also magical because they go dormant somehow.
Yeah. It's like they go to
it's sort
sleep.
of like, it's weird. It's sort of like, if you could, I understand why it's like the cairn. It's because that's a really old, like, fucking Celtic method of burial.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's the metaphorical equivalent of, like, putting a tombstone on something.
Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense.
You know, so that was probably the idea.
Yeah.
You know? But, like, as far as, like, how that would work in that universe, I don't know.
Yeah, no, sure. Like,
You know?
like we'd have to get, like, a Boys from County Hell 2.
Yeah,
the
explore that.
The vampire re-escapes.
Yeah.
they gotta find a way to permanently put it down. I'd watch that. If you hear me out there, I want the Boys from County Hell 2.
Yeah, then you could put the vampire in, like, a fucking concrete mixer, and they get bust out of that, now he's got concrete hands.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I also like about this movie is that this movie gets to have the emotional zombie moment. There's a point in every zombie story in which a person is turned into a zombie, and the family members of said zombie person have to, like...
They have to make that horrible choice of, do we just kill them?
Yeah, do we keep it around or do we kill them? And that happens in this movie when one of the characters comes back. They already died, but they come back as a vampire. They bleed out, but they bleed out being scratched by the stone.
The stones, yeah.
Actually, they get scratched by the stone, and then a fucking bull gores them into the stone. Which was, okay, I know they set that up, I still didn't expect it.
Yeah, you don't. You're like, oh, that's gonna be the vampire, right? Oh no, it's a bull.
Just this fucking bull, and just bam! I'm like, holy shit. I didn't expect to watch this Irish vampire movie to watch someone get gored by a bull in the first, like, 20 minutes.
You expect the first person to get killed to be killed by the vampire, not by, like, randomness.
Yeah.
You know?
And even still, the kill after that from the person who does turn into the first vampire isn't even killed by the vampire. Because there's this cool little twist where you find out that when the character who dies at the beginning of the movie turns into a vampire, his dad decides to try to scare the people working on the construction site off the construction site so they don't unleash the vampire.
Yeah.
But his plan is kind of flawed because he decides to basically kill the security guard, turn him into a vampire so that he'll attack people.
Yeah.
But this ends up causing the vampire to escape in the first place.
Yeah, because in the effort of trying to get this, like, butt monkey vampire into the ground, they knock over the cairn.
The one criticism I do have of this movie is that when they actually go into his flashback on that, they don't specify that he re-put the stones onto the grave. But I guess we're supposed to assume he did, since they knocked it down once, and then when they came back the next day, the stones were back.
Yeah.
So I guess we're supposed to assume that he put the stones back. But they never specified that, and I do feel like that could come across as a plot hole since they never mention it.
Yeah, because it does mysteriously return.
Like, I can think of how it happened, but I feel like the movie should have not required me to do that.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, but luckily it's a fridge logic moment.
Yeah, it's a small moment. It's not a big moment. Like, I don't really have much criticism of the movie in general. I think the movie's a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's not a problem that you have while you're watching the movie. That's a problem that you have, like, 5 minutes later when you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
I did find myself, like, really invested in the main character's kind of struggle because, like, his father's way too hard on him. The town gets mad at him and blames him for things that aren't really his fault. Like, when the father of the guy who died blames him for him dying, but the reason why he died was because the father's bull gored him.
Yeah.
And he was there, so he knows that. like that just felt like some old bullshit.
But he just takes but the thing about the character is he just takes it.
Yeah.
You know, he just takes it.
He keeps taking it, which that's probably like really his journey by the end of this movie is learning not to take all this shit from everyone. Because everyone is fucking judging him and saying that he should do this and he should do that. And it's just, by the end of the story, it's like, no, this is what I do.
Yeah. He's just the guy that lives in his hometown his entire life.
Exactly. You know? And he's happy with that. He has a house. It's already paid off. It's his mom's house.
Yeah.
It's his. He wants to fix it up and live in it. And, like, who cares what else he does?
Yeah. Maybe he'll get married. Maybe he won't. You know,
like, the only reason why you're supposed to have, like, the ambition in the first place is to get the house and, like, the wife, right?
Yeah, or something.
He's got half of that.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's like everyone else is talking about ambition, but, like, it turns out he doesn't really have any. And he doesn't really... he doesn't really care.
I do like that he kind of finds his own destiny by the end of the story.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because one of the big reveals is that their family line is basically on his mom's side. The family line is they're the
old chief. They're the bloodline of the old chieftains.
Yeah. His great grandfather was the one that put that vampire down in the first place into that grave that they dig up. So it's basically he comes from a long line of vampire beaters.
Yeah, because you can't really say they're killers.
They're not killers.
Can't kill them.
They just beat them temporarily. And so it's just by the end of this movie, his destiny becomes he's going to be the guy who looks over this grave and makes sure no one disturbs it.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, that seems fine, because like he didn't want to go anywhere in the first place. He was quite happy.
Yeah. No, just make sure that ancient vampire doesn't rise. That sounds good enough for me. That's good enough for me.
And now he is. You know? And now, if you're annoyed that he's not like contributing something to society, he is. He's stopping the vampire from killing everyone in town, like he almost does.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. Like.
Oh, geez.
That's the other thing. Like, this vampire does not fuck around.
He walks into a town, and then like a 3-block radius, everyone's bleeding from their orifices.
Yeah, everyone's bleeding.
And it seems like even when he gets out of the range of that, once he's got locked in on you, that blood will keep flowing as far as he goes. Because like there's a point in which he goes into the town and basically gets the whole town infected by this, but then he goes back to the barn, which is a couple miles away, but the blood's all flowing out of them towards the barn.
Yep, there's a river of blood.
Now I will say this, from a realistic point of view, all those people should be dead by the end of the movie.
They should be dead as shit.
Like they should have been dead like when they first... The amount of blood it would have taken to pour out of their bodies into the street to him in the first place should have killed them then.
Oh yeah, that should have killed everybody.
They would have bled out.
Yeah, but the movie does not have that bleak an ending.
But I will say,
although I would have been totally okay with that kind of like Slither-like ending where it's like, well, everyone else is dead.
Honestly, after how the town kept treating him like shit, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, god damn, like he's yelling at him and he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Like everyone in town is happy who he is, but then his dad demands that he gets this job and does this construction work, but the construction work fucks over the town, and so the town hates him now, and it's just like...
Yeah. They just can't win for losing.
Yeah,
you know?
It's just like, he can't please everybody, I guess. But one thing I really liked about the blood conceit is that it led to these really cool visual moments. Like you always know or are aware of the vampire's presence because like you'll just see like blood randomly start trailing along walls or the floor or something. And it'll sometimes just be in the background, but it'll always be effective. It's always an effective visual. It looks really cool. And I just like that vampire. Like he.
Oh no, he's great.
Like
vampire's great.
He's naked the entire movie, and I was kind of like, man, if he had like a cape, he would just look like a bat. Just straight
up.
He
would. Yeah.
You know.
I was actually kind of surprised he didn't like fly at some point. That probably would have made him too powerful. See, at that point, they couldn't have stopped him.
See, that's why they need a Boys from County Hill too. You know.
Yeah.
That's true, though. He would have been unstoppable if he could just fly away.
Yeah, he could just fly away. There's
him just lankily walking places puts like a small barrier on how much damage he can do.
Yeah, even though he can like bleed people out from like
miles away.
Jesus Christ. Good God. That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch this happen, that they were able to come up with a sort of a vampire mythos that was different than anything that we'd seen so far, and at the same time still effective and still felt like a vampire.
Absolutely. And I also want to say this, I really want that bar in the movie, the pub.
The Stoker
pub. that... No, man. And when you go inside the bar and there's like body parts everywhere and like little vampires, and there's a point in which they're in the bar and the Dream Warriors theme is playing, and I'm like, holy shit, this is the bar Jack and I would have made.
Oh,
this is it reminded me a lot of like the Slaughtered Lamb. Like,
oh yeah, I guarantee that was the idea. You know.
So The Boys from County Hell, Irish horror film, currently available on Shudder. Highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I would say on the horror comedy scale, it's a little bit more dramatic than something like, say, Grabbers, which is just a full-on comedy.
Grabbers is full-on comedy. Yeah.
But it's also not like as dramatic as like Let Us Pray or something. Like it's
right.
It's not. It's more in the.
It's not as intense, nearly as intense as Let Us Pray.
It's more like an '80s style horror movie where there's a nice balance between the real shit and the humor. Yeah,
it feels like it's got the tone of like a really good like '80s direct-to-video kind of movie, as opposed to a really bad one.
Yes. And with all that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
You can find me on Twitter at JackSatanWave. You can find me on Twitch, where I stream every Thursday and Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, at Count_Jackula. And you can also find me on Instagram at Satanic Jackula.
That's right.
And I'm gonna fucking one of these days I'm gonna nail this. It's gonna come out, it's gonna be smooth as silk, it's gonna be like butter. It's gonna be like fucking blood flowing out your eyeballs. It's gonna be beautiful. How about you?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And remember, these videos do better the more engagement they get. And engagement comes in the form of you commenting, of you liking the video, of you sharing the video as well. So share it. The better they do, the easier it is to continue doing them. So show your support. And speaking of support, if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. And with that all said, we actually have another vlog we're about to record, so we're gonna do that, and you're gonna catch me again in this Cavity Colors Godzilla vs. King Kong shirt at least one more time this week, so stay tuned for that. And I just burped while saying that, which is lovely.
Nah.